Behind every growing business is a team of great people. This is the Hub Podcast, sponsored by Manpower Eastern Indiana. I'm your host, Michael Allen. In each episode, we connect with the people helping build stronger companies and communities across Eastern Indiana. Welcome back to the Hub. My name is Michael Allen, your host, and today we are with Trevor Amerson, the General Manager of the Richmond Flying Mummies. Welcome, Trevor, to the Hub.
Michael. Happy to be here.
So you moved to Richmond recently from
Yep.
Wisconsin, and you'd spent 4 seasons with the Green Bay Rockers.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
And it's part of the Northwoods League. So we're playing against these guys.
Yeah.
And your former team, and so you've been tasked with launching the Mummies.
Yep.
Our inaugural season. So I guess before we go into that, why don't you just tell us just a little bit about yourself? The process in coming here.
Yeah. I mean, I got done with my season in Green Bay in early August. We were fortunate enough to win the Northwoods League championship last year in Green Bay, and pretty much took that next week to pack and get my life together, and then middle August moved down here to Richmond with myself and my now fiance.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Feel like I had to mention that or else she'd get mad.
Oh yeah. Give her some props.
But yeah, no, it's been awesome so far. So like I said, I've been here since August. We named the team name in October 7th. And then this entire off season has just been getting ready for opening day and this new inaugural season that we got going on right now.
So where are you from originally?
I'm right from the Green Bay area.
Okay.
So
grew
from
up there.
Yeah, town called Kaukauna, Wisconsin, about 16,000 people, about 30 minutes south of Green Bay. So Wisconsin guy through and through.
So when you went to work for the Rockers, was that your first kind of sports related job? I mean, was that what kind of led you to take on that job or get that job? I mean, how did that get started?
Yeah, I actually started as an intern there.
Okay.
In 2022. So that was actually my last kind of, summer after senior year internship that I went to, and my mom just wanted me to come back home because I went to school in Minnesota at the University of Minnesota State, and then came back home and started out as a ticket sales intern, and kind of worked there that summer, fell in love with it, and they offered me a job to be I think the first position was a ticket sales coordinator for the Rockers, and then just kind of worked my way up from there, and then found out about this opportunity in February of last year, and went through the whole interview process, and now we're here starting up a team.
So when you were at Minnesota State, right? What were you studying, and did you think it was going to lead you to this type of career path, at least this early in your career so far?
Yeah. So I went and studied, majored in sport management.
Okay.
So I always kind of knew that I wanted to be involved with something in sports. I just didn't really know what that was. So the summer before, I actually took an internship and at the local YMCA there, and started up a sports summer camp there, and kind of ran that summer, and found out that I really didn't want to work in youth sports. High energy kids for 8 hours a day just wasn't my thing. But that kind of led me along the path of, okay, maybe we can get into something, closer towards it. Maybe my thoughts at that time were like, hey, let's get my foot in here and go work for, some kind of, professional, semi-professional, whatever it may be, sports team, and then kind of fell in love with the, small community aspect of the Northwoods League and of Green Bay. They have probably about 1,600 people a game there that they were averaging, and the ticket holders that I saw every day that I got to talk to at every game, the different group corporate outings that I was able to pull and create relationships with that came back year after year after year with me, kind of fell in love with the, relationships and small town feel of that.
Did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah,
at
I mean,
high school level, or
yeah, as a kid, I pretty much played everything under the sun. I feel like everybody has those like youth soccer days.
Yeah.
But yeah, in high school, I was a volleyball and tennis player actually.
All right.
Played
Yeah.
and I played baseball up until my freshman year of high school. I played basketball, played football, and then volleyball and tennis is just what I stuck with throughout high school. So I pretty much played them all, and there isn't really a sport that I haven't grown up, liking to some aspect.
I remember when my boys were younger, they did t-ball, and then it was player. Then it was coach pitch.
Yep.
And then the kids started pitching, and then it goes up another level where they're pitching, and then at least for me, not a great student of baseball, just kind of a parent trying to volunteer.
Yeah.
It started to get kind of too intense for me, and I would see that kids. That's when I started to see them start to drop out.
Yeah.
When it got into like that, I don't know, they probably call it different in other communities, but it was like he went from coach pitch to like minor, and then like major, and then they call it different things. But
yeah,
at that level, it was starting to get the competition was more intense, and the coaching was more intense.
Oh,
and, it wasn't my lane to
youth sports and all the travel teams and all that kind of stuff is crazy nowadays.
Yeah.
I loved growing up and being able to play multiple sports, and I think you're starting to see more of that. But there's a time there where it's like stick to your one sport and be the best you can at it. And,
the travel teams weren't quite a thing yet.
Yeah.
When I was, coaching, I guess now I'm thinking it was over 20 years ago.
Okay.
It seems like just yesterday. I remember hauling all the stuff to the games and everything. We even had to set up concessions and everything. But I mean, it was a lot of fun. And that's the great thing about baseball is kind of the sense of community that's associated with, I think, a little bit more than some of the other sports. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you
100%.
feel about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, baseball games across the country, it's a great thing to do in the summer, whatever you're doing, whether it's a t-ball game, you get the family out, sit down in the sunshine and just get to relax and forget about whatever else is going on in life, and, maybe enjoy a beverage or two and just kind of sit back and, listen to the sound of a bat.
So you're up in the Green Bay area.
Yep.
Right. And so that's a little bit different than Richmond area.
Yeah.
And so the Richmond opportunity came along. I mean, so what made you, you said guys had just won.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Northwoods League championship.
Yeah.
And so what was the draw coming here, leaving kind of a bigger market area to more of a smaller town with a team that, there's a history of baseball here in Richmond. I think it goes back to as early as 1918.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely some history here. I think we have a tremendous stadium here in the community. So what were some of the things that attracted you to taking this job?
Yeah, 100%. So, first off, just when it got proposed to me that, obviously being in the Northwoods League for a little bit, kind of understanding what it's all about, and all that kind of stuff, what it brings to a community, being able to, just like the thought of being able to bring something like the Northwoods League baseball to a new community, one that previously had baseball. But, to start a franchise from scratch isn't something you get to do every day.
Yeah.
And obviously, my family and my fiance's family, everybody is over there in Wisconsin, so it wasn't the easiest decision in the world. But, being from Green Bay area, Kaukauna is a town of 16,000 people.
Okay.
You kind of got the small town feel, and then, to Green Bay, you kind of get the bigger town feel. I mean, it's Green Bay, Wisconsin, so it's not the craziest, biggest city in the world, but, also having experience with kind of the small town feel, being able to kind of, and, just all the relationships I created in that kind of, 1,600 people a game, kind of the smaller community aspect is something that I was like, hey, if we can kind of create a similar thing in Richmond, and be able to do it how we kind of want to do it, it'd be something that'd be really special.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of the, once in a lifetime opportunity to kind of take that jump, and come down here and hopefully, we can see the Flying Mummies, 5, 10, 20 years from now, still kicking and, bringing in a bunch of people for, fireworks and, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But, that still, bringing guys up to the big leagues, families are still being able to come to games on a given night. Being able to say that, we kind of started it and brought this kind of fun thing to Richmond is something that, all kind of got me really excited for the summer.
Well, I guess from a professional standpoint too, you doing what you were, I'm making some assumptions at the Rockers, but the startup and all the things that you're doing, is challenging you personally, professionally, I think in a different way than your other job did.
100%.
Yeah.
I had an idea of what, was needed. And I don't even think I got to 5% of what needed to be done, in order to start up, this franchise with all of the different aspects, that go into the host families, sponsorships, players, travel, hotels, busing, all of the different things that go into, essentially running a small business, but, baseball's 5% of what I do. Obviously love to see the wins on the field and get a lot of joy out of that. But there's so many other things that needed to happen in order to, get things going. And I think we still, the process of starting up opening day, all of the fires that we had to put out from there and trying to fine tune those things, is still a process that, will be ongoing throughout this year. And hopefully we can fine tune those things for next year too.
Well, it speaks well of you, Trevor. I mean, as far as, being ambitious and wanting to challenge yourself. I mean, it maybe could have been easy just to stay where you were and everything was set up and running well. You guys had a winning team. And so, but coming here, it definitely presents a lot of different growing opportunities for you professionally. So I think that's awesome.
100%. Lots of ups and downs, but definitely way more ups.
So you kind of touched just a second ago about some of the duties as a general. You said 5% baseball. There's a lot, I mean, you mentioned some of it, but there's any more? Can you elaborate on, what it is that you actually do day in, day out? I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty long list of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of varies on day to day. Like yesterday, we just got a bunch of cushion seats with backs that we threw on the bleachers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so we just got those up to the stadium that'll be here for our next home game on Thursday, and that was helping out interns. We have interns that come in, so managing our interns, managing our part-time staff, getting them, schedules and making sure they get paid on time, and all of the different, we have corporate group outings that come out on given nights, making sure our sponsors are taken care of and, the vouchers that we, are giving them are able to be redeemed and, they're having a good time at the stadium, trying to make sure that, all of the pre-game entertainment, in-game entertainment is going well. We broadcast all of our games on Full Sports. So we have a 4 HD camera broadcast setup. So, trying to make sure we had to get the ballpark wired, for that kind of stuff. Right. And then all of the little video production, I'm not very experienced in that kind of stuff. So learning all of those kind of things and, trying to troubleshoot when we have problems going on, because the Northwoods League is a really high standard for what we put out on that kind of stuff. So there's, there's a lot of things, but it just kind of depends on the day.
I saw the seats on social media. They look really good.
Thank you.
And I think they just kind of attached onto the bench seating. And how many did you guys? It seemed like you got a bunch.
Yeah,
like a lot. At least the picture looked like a lot.
I was gonna say I think it was upwards over. I think it was like 800, 900 seats that we had put in, and because the school district kind of helped us out with some of that, so we also got seats for the softball field for their bleachers as well. So we'll be putting those on their bleachers, next year once they came in a little bit later. Obviously already being 6 games into the season. But yeah, they just attach right to the seats, got them all measured up, and you just zip tie them right to those wood bleachers. So I like to say now that we have the comfiest grandstand in the Northwoods League.
I think it looked really good. It was a really kind of a creative way to upgrade that seating without having to tear stuff out.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
No, that was actually one of our owners' ideas, was kind of bring that in, and you kind of see that you can rent them at like different professional sporting events, for bleachers. And he actually reached out to one of the companies that produce them and was like, hey, would we be able to make this happen? And now we got him here.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. So what's kind of surprised you the most so far since taking over? What was like, oh man, didn't see this coming?
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of things that surprised me. I mean, there's plenty of things. Just I think just the sheer amount of stuff, and things that even myself wouldn't think about getting done on a day-to-day, and just the crazy stories of, we actually brought in, obviously with some of our owners being on the Napoleon Dynamite cast. For those who have seen the movie, there's a van that Uncle Rico has in the movie that he kind of lives out of. So we got the same make and model of the van from the movie. We're going to have Wetzel Auto paint it, and we're going to put it on the grandstand for Napoleon Dynamite night. So we get this. We found it on Facebook Marketplace, got this thing down here. On the way in transit to Wetzel, the roof of the van fell off. It just fell off in transit. They didn't know what happened to it, so I don't know if it's just sitting on the side of a highway still somewhere or what went on. So basically, this van roof fell off, and then it just poured rain the next night, so we just couldn't use it. So then we found a very similar van and brought that van down here, and now have it at the stadium, and the art museum's actually currently putting vinyls on it from drawings from kids in the community, and kind of doing some fun stuff there. But just the weird stuff and the fires and stuff that you would think would be really easy and go right that don't, and when you don't need it to be a battle, it always is.
Yeah, so. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
So Richmond's a new team in the league this year.
Yep.
Was there a team that was coming off, or was Northwoods expanding? What kind of created the opportunity for a franchise to be in Richmond?
Yeah. And so the league is always looking to expand. Mm-hmm. The Northwoods League we are the 26th team. Okay. We actually have 2 more teams coming in the league next year. Dune Coast, which is in New Buffalo, Michigan, which is just kind of on the southwest side of Richmond, kind of right on the coast of Lake Michigan. And then also a team that's actually be playing at the new Field of Dreams site in Dyersville, Iowa. So they're going to be kind of expanding there. So there'll be 28 next year. We did have a team in Indiana in Kokomo that kind of they switched leagues. But we've had multiple teams like Minot, North Dakota, Royal Oak, Michigan, that came in recently. Those were a little bit different. We were the first expansion team, brand new expansion team in a couple of years. But a lot of teams, that, are doing really well in maybe a smaller summer collegiate league that they can bring up to a Northwoods League product, and kind of make it, bigger and better and that kind of stuff. So yeah, the Northwoods League is always looking to expand, and now 28 teams is the largest in the country.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I without looking it up, I was thinking probably 16 teams or something.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and I have a copy of your schedule, but I didn't do the counting. So how many games are being played this summer?
We have 36.
36.
Yeah, so it's split up into 2 conferences. So like we're not going up to play Minot, North Dakota. Or we're not going to play Thunder Bay, Canada. We pretty much play predominantly. We do play Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan teams. So that makes travel a little bit easier on us to where, we don't have to go all the way to Minnesota or, hopefully, kind of how it works is the 2 conferences obviously meet for the championship. So hopefully we have to do some traveling to North Dakota, South Dakota, something like that for the championship, but not quite yet.
I think it's somewhere in here in my notes, but I'll just ask it now. So you talked about, you travel. So I guess everybody loads up on the bus. Is that kind of what it is?
Yeah.
Or people, some players sometimes get their other means, or is it kind of like everybody travels together, and is that the way that works? Yeah,
we actually have a transportation partner that provides our busing throughout the entire season.
Okay.
It's free enterprise, and they actually they have a student transit program where they actually do all the busing for RCS as well, Richmond Community Schools. Right. So we were able to connect with them kind of right away when we announced the team, and kind of build that relationship, and they've been great. And we have bus driver Randy that's getting the guys where they need to be, and huge part of the team because, when they're on the road, obviously they're spending a lot of hours together. And I think the shortest travel we have is 3.5 to Battle Creek, Michigan. So yeah.
So when there's home games and when you're in town, the players are staying at host homes for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're still looking for host families too, to kind of fill it out. Cause we have host families. They're very gracious, and I think it's going great so far. We have a great group of guys this year. And then we also have, because we weren't able to fill all of our host families, we have some guys staying at Earlham College, right, which is obviously, 2-minute drive to McBride Stadium.
Yeah, they're staying in the dormitories there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
then when you travel, you guys are booking hotels and staying there. Is that the way that typically works, or other arrangements other than that?
Yeah. All of the home teams are responsible for booking hotel rooms for the away team coming in. Okay. So all of our away teams stay at Comfort Suites across town for us, and they've been great. Haven't had any issues so far. But yeah, so whenever that's kind of how it works is we get them a rooming list. The hotels, each team reserves 16 hotel rooms, and the players are staying there for the nights that they're
so what's the size of the whole entourage when you take off? How many is that?
Yeah, it kind of depends
players
on
and coaches. And
everything. Who's on the roster at that point, and who's traveling, and injuries and stuff play a factor. Normally it's around 30 guys that are going to be traveling and active. We have 4 coaches, so including our field manager. So it's around 30 to 35 guys that are traveling on a bus.
That's a lot to coordinate.
Yeah,
we got meals and everything else.
Oh yeah.
Too. I want to circle back, ask you a little bit about McBride Stadium. You were in you've been in the league. You've been to other venues. Was the stadium a drawing point? Was it a draw to come here, as well as just the history of Richmond having some success, like with the Roosters? And
yeah,
I guess I just was interested about McBride Stadium and the thoughts of that stadium and how it compares to other stadiums as far as size and the quality of it.
Yeah, it's an awesome stadium. Once I got down here, it's not always, as far as the Northwoods League goes, I would probably put it somewhere, in the middle in terms of size, and stuff like that. And we're looking to kind of expand and get more things, get more seating and all of that kind of stuff, after we get through this first year here. But yeah, I mean, I would kind of, and it's a very unique stadium. I kind of wish the press box was still on the roof, because that was pretty cool when, I saw the pictures of that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm not sure in the condition it was when it got moved down. But yeah, I mean, it's got the bowl that goes down below, and obviously everybody talks about that big green fence that has been there, for forever, and I've heard, being here as long as I have, the amount of stories of, the Negro League teams that came through here, and all of the different kind of events and stuff that have taken place here was really cool to learn about.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of have a throwback feel about that stadium does, because especially when it was built. I had it in my nose. I could raffle through these. But
I believe it was 1938.
Yeah, it was sort of a work. I mean, the original one that was there burnt down.
Okay.
It's my understand. And then there was a project that they, I think federal or state project, monies were used to build the one that is there now. So I think has a lot of charm and character, and it looks like, the stuff that the Mummies are doing with it is just going to add to it.
Yeah, 100%. And that was kind of the thing, is that, the amount of space, and the concession stand, the offices being right there, the locker rooms, not every team has a visitors and home locker room that they're able to actually physically go in, that we can serve food in there to the guys, that we can do so much stuff with, from a starting point to standpoint, I think, there's so much room that we can kind of, grow and, obviously keep that same, historical vibe to it, but just kind of improve upon.
Community support is going to be so important to the team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, how are we so far engaging with the community to try to bring them on board and support the Flying Mummies, and what are some things that maybe you have planned to bring people in?
Yeah. I think that's kind of one of the biggest things is that I've been trying to do, with also having, some community engagement roles in Green Bay as well. It's just getting out as much as possible. We have, a nonprofit of the night program at our stadium, where we basically give nonprofits the ability to kind of table, promote their stuff, also participate in ticket fundraiser, and hopefully raise some money for them. So, we have the ability to do that, but then also, getting like silly stuff like our mascot out into the community. My entire late March, April was just going around to different Little League opening days, and me and my staff, hopping in Wilbur, our mascot, taking him around, and, just showing everybody that, we're here. We want to support everybody else. And, I can't expect the community's support unless we support them first, and trying to make it known that, one, we're here, people know about us, but, donating tickets when people, have different, silent auctions and raffles that they're doing, just trying to help people where we can, and use our kind of platform to, one, hopefully raise money for people, but, or if it's just getting people out to the ballpark and having a fun night, and then getting out into the community. And, we're at, I think it was a kids farmers market this past weekend.
Okay.
And we were out with Wilbur doing that kind of stuff. One of our partners, Coons Home Center across town, they had their 60th anniversary party, that we went to, and that was on Friday, with Wilbur and everybody. So trying to, just get around, and trying to, make sure that we're doing our part to support people, before that we can expect them to come support us as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Were you involved in the naming of the team? Were you part of that process, or was that already kind of happening when you came on board as general manager?
It was already happening. So I think, obviously I was still kind of doing my job in Green Bay. I think the team got announced to the public maybe in, I think it was like February, March-ish, somewhere in there. And they kind of immediately started like a name team contest where people started submitting names and stuff like that. So I was just kind of sitting back and watching the names, come in. And then, later in the summers when they did kind of the vote and all of that kind of stuff. So, by the time I got into town, we were already kind of past the way, and I was doing my best with the name submissions that we got to kind of learn about, the history of Richmond. And, when I visited here in March, we stayed at the Best Western, and, they have the like kind of murals of all the different Richmond stuff, and, got to see all the different, obviously the jazz history and the mummies and all that kind of fun stuff.
When I first heard the name, I kind of was like scratching my head, a little bit. And then I felt kind of dense when I was talking to a friend of mine. He was explaining to me, and I thought, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And then I started seeing the logo, and I mean, everything. I really like it a lot. As the public taken to it? I mean, do you think?
No. It's been awesome, actually. That your reaction isn't uncommon at all. For people that there's a lot of people that just weren't aware that there were two mummies in Richmond. And obviously with Wilbur Wright going to high school in Richmond for a bit, that's kind of where the name came from. But normally when you have a name the team contest or some kind of, especially in the Northwoods League, the Green Bay Rockers used to be called the Green Bay Booyah, which is actually like a chicken based soup. And when they changed the Rockers, it was half and half. People thought the Rockers were the stupidest thing ever, and just from Facebook and socials alone, you'd have those people that were like, oh, well, this is dumb. But 90% of it was positive, which was great to see. It was positive from the jump, which you don't see often, with, people have opinions about all different kinds of stuff. So, but I mean, it worked out well. And I think the logo and the branding, turned out really well, and people really like it.
How's the merchandising going so far?
Going really well. Whenever I was in Green Bay, I don't think I ever saw a piece of Rockers merch out in the wild, maybe once or twice. And I make sure to do my best when I see anybody with any Flying Mummies stuff, because, seeing people at the farmer's market or people just around town and stuff like that, I'll see Flying Mummies hats and Flying Mummies jerseys and stuff like that. I'm very grateful for anybody who chooses to support us. So make sure to give at least everybody a compliment when I see them in something. Yeah, well, so
the look and the quality of the depiction, all that is so important, though, when having something that people want to wear.
Yeah.
So and I think you've all done a great job of putting that together, and like the shirt that you have on today is really cool looking, and I'm sure people like that. I mean, yeah, it's important.
Yeah,
just those little details are important.
Yeah, you never know, especially with merchandise, you never know what people like, what people want to wear, especially when you start a new team. But to see people enjoy our stuff and really resonate with it has been really awesome, and I'm grateful for.
So what's kind of the hot item?
It's probably just been the jerseys. I think we got kind of a very unique design with the kind of mummy wrap on it, and our players also they were like, I was a little bit worried that they kind of see it and be like, what the heck are we wearing? But they, unless they're lying to me, they all thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. So the jerseys are very unique, and people have really been eating those up. So
that's awesome. People think baseball, the teams like this make their money just from their ticket sales, but I don't think that's true. So maybe explain just a little bit about because I mean, the team has to be, for it to be able to be here for, you talked about 5, 10, 20 years from now, it has to be financially solvent. I mean, it has to be able to make some money. Yeah. For it to continue to go on. So tell us a little bit how that works, and how the team comes about, getting the financial capital to keep going and sustaining itself.
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of unique in the Northwoods League. So obviously it's a little bit different than, a a minor league team, major league team, where, ticket sales is obviously a big part of it. But, people getting concession stand food, merchandise, obviously sponsors are a big part of that. Local companies coming in and, being willing to, support us from the jump is huge and really important. From all of the first year expenses to the kitchen equipment and, the merchandise, the bill for the busing and the hotels and, all that kind of stuff, with people willing to work with us and, maybe trade out some things, in terms of tickets and advertising and stuff like that, all kind of go into making it successful. Even looking at, obviously we have kind of a unique opportunity with the Napoleon Dynamite guys being a part of our ownership group. But having them come in and doing a live show for us, we're also able to support the art museum, but looking to do also events outside of just the 36 baseball games. I think we're kind of getting to a point where, we kind of have to do stuff, outside of the season, where we can't just rely on 36 games, to be financially viable. So we're currently looking into doing multiple off-season events, not only with the chamber, but, maybe, some kind of Halloween event, obviously with the Mummies, looking to maybe do some kind of wrestling event. Hopefully we can get to a point where maybe, we get some youth sports in our stadium that we can use, after the season or before the season. All of that, all of those different kind of things, that we can kind of use to, stay afloat. But also, then we can also, provide those kind of more upgrades, with the seats. We're still looking at, building a deck down the left field line, trying to boost up McBride, all of those kind of avenues going into, trying to put that right back into McBride and Richmond. So.
You mentioned the Napoleon Dynamite guys. So what's the story behind them getting involved? I mean,
yeah. So last year it actually originally started out with John Grice, who's Uncle Rico, and he had
how much you want to make a bet I can throw?
He had went over and threw a first pitch at a Madison Mallards game, which will actually be playing here this next weekend in Madison. And my owner, one of our owners, had met him at the game, and had told him about the whole team coming on, and John kind of fell in love with the Northwoods League at that Madison game and was like, yes, this would be a very cool thing to be a part of when they were putting the team together. So then that's kind of how they got connected. He kind of became first part of the ownership group, and then they tour and they do a live show where they show the movie, and they do kind of like a Q&A interactive thing. And so John Grice was talking about it with John Heater and Efren Ramirez, who also tour with them. And they're like, how do I get to be a part of this? So then, we kind of brought them onto the ownership group as well. And then, now they're going to be coming to Richmond, actually tomorrow, Wednesday, June 10th tomorrow. Yeah. Wednesday, June 10th, to do that kind of live show. And then they're coming out to the game the next day on the 11th to, where they're going to be signing autographs. And, we're probably going to have Uncle Rico throwing out a steak for the first pitch. And, we'll probably get him out and coaching first base for an half inning or two, doing kind of fun stuff with them, and making them a part of it. Cause yeah, they've been great so far and have been willing to kind of, do whatever and come to games. So
I think that movie just celebrated recently, like its 25th anniversary. Is that right?
2006.
Yeah. So, or 20th.
Yeah, I think,
20th anniversary. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Those guys are, I mean, that movie has had that staying power. It's just an interesting story behind the movie in itself. And then that these guys are 20 years later doing shows about the movie. I mean,
it's awesome.
And they're connected. I mean, you don't normally see, I mean, I think it's probably unique. These three guys are still somewhat connected in that way.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, and because John Grice, he's in Fallout and White Lotus, like he's still doing some Hollywood stuff. And John Heater actually is kind of out of Hollywood, but he's still doing the live show with them, and I think just their relationship with the three of them is really stuck through all the years, and I think it's just fun for them to get out on the road and go spend some time and get to interact with fans and stuff, because it's crazy the staying power that the movie has.
Absolutely.
I kind of caught it. Obviously being a younger guy, I caught it on the back end of it, where I'm still surprised some of our interns haven't seen the movie, and making them go and watch it, and where it's still, I went back and rewatched it recently. Still as funny as it was. When I first watched it.
It's like when you first see that. When I remember seeing it the first time, it's like, what in the heck did I just see? I mean, it was just so unique into itself. I loved it, and I've seen it a handful of times at least. You know? So it's one of those movies you can watch more than once, and then see something different.
Oh yeah,
something new and different each time you watch it.
Yep.
You're doing a lot to involve families in the games, and so can you talk a little bit about what you're doing to involve families, what a family can expect at a game, the different theme nights that you're having, just let people know, the followers know what they can expect and why they should come out.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just baseball, what you're trying to do there during the games.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's kind of, what the Northwoods League is all about, is, bringing a, family-friendly fun where, we have a kid zone, that, we have a speed pitch at, and a playground and a bouncy house that, the parents can, send their kids off for maybe 10, 20 minutes and give them a little breather, while they can relax a little bit. But all of the on-field entertainment that we have, the merchandise, the food, the drinks, we have a program where Little League teams get to come out on the field beforehand and create a tunnel for the players and stand with them for the national anthem. That kids kind of get to be on the field and, really get to see the players up front. We have kids run the bases on Saturday nights. We have, kids play catch on the field on Sundays. We have fireworks on Fridays. We have something going on every single day. And that does include the theme nights, where people are, we have giveaways, on Thursday. We have a vote for Wilbur t-shirt that we're giving away. We have whole bunch of different stuff that we're doing all summer where, just coming to the game and watching baseball is not, it's certainly what you can do. And I applaud anybody who's doing that. But, being able to enjoy some family time, have the kids go and play in the kids zone, maybe get some ice cream, and, maybe one of our marketing interns pulls them aside and they get to do an on-field promotion, and they get to have fun with that, or maybe have a player sign a ball when they come into the gates. We have three of our normally it's pitchers that stand up at the front gates before each game and with Sharpies and just sign autographs for players. Awesome. So trying to make it as fun and accessible, for anybody who wants to come in, and you don't have to love baseball. Just coming in, McBride has a big awning that you can just kind of sit in the shade and just enjoy a summer day. So,
I think that's great. So what does success look like? It's a new business venture. You're putting a lot into the startup to get this team going. So from your experience with the Rockers and then coming here, in your mind, what does kind of success look like for 1 year? What's going to make you feel good about the year?
Yeah, I don't think you can really put like a number on anything. Mm-hmm. I think it's more of a qualitative, aspect to it. I think, my biggest thing is, making sure that every single person in Wayne County and the surrounding area knows who we are, and if they choose to come to a game, that's their prerogative. If they're not, they don't want to come to a game, that's fine with me. But, getting kind of the community support, which we're already feeling. People that have came to our games, we've heard great things, and people have had a lot of fun so far. But this is the kind of growth year, right? We're obviously putting a lot into the stadium, a lot in. So, for me to sit here and say, hey, like successes make a boatload of money, and
that's not how business works. Trust me.
Correct. So it's just about, getting people engaged. And if we can get people to come to the stadium, have a great time and say, hey, I really want to come back, or, hey, I didn't get the chance to come back, but I really want to come back next year, or, or even, just like if we can have an impact on youth sports and kids can come to the stadium and they can get a signature from a Flying Mummies fan, and they can say, hey, I want to try out for baseball this year. That kind of small stuff in the community is like, that's where I get my joy out of my job, is just watching people smile on their faces, coming out and having a good time. So that's, it's that community support is what we're looking for.
I feel like you're really kind of putting in a lot of hours right now. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's awesome. What have you liked about, Richmond so far? Kind of some of your things like, I mean, a surprise or thing that you really liked about moving here so far? I mean,
honestly, like all of the, obviously been doing a lot less stuff since the season got closer and going. But like, I think one thing that me and my fiance just did right away was we just looked at Facebook events and just started trying to go to all of the different local stuff that we can. I'm a big local food guy. So love all the local spots and partners in town that we have, food wise, but going all to the different, festivals and all the different like smaller events and craft stores and, all the kind of, Richmond stuff has been great. And I think there's, I'm normally trying to go to the farmer's market on a Saturday if we don't have a game, and just check out all the fun stuff that we have and trying new things. So,
well, we're recording this in downtown Richmond, and there is a lot
100%
going on down here.
Yeah.
And I think probably, I just kind of thought of this, but there could be a lot of opportunities once all this housing is down here and people living in this area. There's probably some opportunities to connect with just the downtown area and get people over to the stadium. Have you thought about that, or is it crossed your mind?
The apartment complex that's going up, watching it every day as I drive past, and it looks awesome and coming together, and all the revitalized Richmond stuff that's going on. As we kind of get through here and see it kind of be developed more and more, has been great to see. And I think if those people can come in and see that we're playing, and besides all of the development that's going on, like, hey, we have fun stuff to do on a summer night, and come over to the ballpark. I think it just is just all positive. So
with the McBride being probably only 5 minutes from the stadium, I would think it's probably a 5-minute drive from here. It'd be kind of cool. Once we get this populated down here, looking in the future, there could be some type of a shuttle for home games that people could get on and go over there and really engage this part of because you have so many people living in this area and in close proximity, you could probably make something like that happen.
Yeah, 100%.
So write that down and give me credit for it.
We'll do.
If it doesn't work, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you having
meet
me on.
with us, and I think they're fortunate to have you. I can see your enthusiasm and your care for what you're doing. So I think that's really great.
Appreciate
a couple of So what's your? Do you have a favorite baseball movie?
Oh boy, I'm a Moneyball guy. Love Moneyball. It's a great movie. It's kind of funny because they don't mention all the like 3 perennial all-star pitchers that the A's had during those days when they're mentioning all the Moneyball stuff, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean, The Sandlot's always a classic too, so those are probably the 2.
And not trying to peg you to be a super crazy baseball person, but what's kind of your favorite ballpark you visited? It could be professional or it could be Northwoods or whatever. What's kind of one that sticks out in your mind that you've been to that you like, that was unique, that you thought was pretty cool?
Yeah. In the Northwoods League, Traverse City, Michigan has a beautiful ballpark. Love that place. And that's actually, the Richmond Roosters actually moved to Traverse City. And then it changed ownership and became the Pitt Spitters. So they're actually kind of, Richmond Roosters descending a little bit. I mean, I can't go anywhere else than Miller Park, now American Family Field in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. Big Brewer fan, so that's always a good time.
Yeah, it's gorgeous
tailgating over there.
Favorite ballpark food?
I'm a brat guy. Yeah. Big brat guy. So yeah, always got to make sure I get a brat when I go.
So if you can meet any baseball player, past or present, who would that be? You had to pick one guy.
Again, I'm going to keep going back to the Brewers. Prince Fielder was always a favorite of mine. There was also a scrawny center fielder, Niger Morgan, when the Brewers first went to the playoffs in like 2011, 12, and 20 years. That year, he actually gave me a ball when I was watching BP one day. So he was always a favorite of mine too.
So, kind of when you look, let's say 10 years from now, you look back and what do you hope they'll be saying about this first season? Maybe a tough question.
That's a great question. If people can come here and have fun, that's the main goal. I want to make it as good of an experience as possible for everyone. So knowing that there are going to be fires that are going to be put out, there's going to be issues that we need to adjust and problems that we need to get taken care of. But, if 95% of those problems can stay on the management side and people don't see them, that's the goal. And, making sure that we can have, just people coming out and having a good time. I think everything will follow after that. And
yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great answer. I mean, you just want the experience to be a lot of fun, entertaining on multiple levels.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a great goal to have. And so I think it's great to have baseball back in Richmond again. I'm glad you're leading the charge. And so thanks for joining us today, and best of luck this season and beyond.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Hub Podcast, sponsored by Manpower Eastern Indiana. If your business needs great people or you're looking for your next opportunity, contact Manpower Eastern Indiana today.